In today's video, I'll be showing you how to connect Clay to make.com, and in order for me to deserve a like from you by the end of this video, I aim to cover two main things. The first thing is how you can move data from Clay straight into your make.com scenario, and the second thing that I'm going to cover is how you can get data from make.com and transfer it into Clay. So to start with, let's talk about how to get data from Clay into make.com. To start with, head over into make.com, into your accounts, into the scenarios, and click on Create Scenario in the top right-hand corner. Over here, just type in webhooks. It should be at the top of the screen either way. And then make sure that you select the custom webhook where it's triggered when a webhook receives data. So just click on that. And for the time being, just click on Add over here and click on Save. And just forget about it for the time being. This is basically going to be the endpoint, this URL over here, that we will need for future reference. Now we need to head back into our Clay account. I assume you would have already run all the enrichments and you have a bunch of data that you want to transfer into Make. If that's the case, click on Actions, type in HTTP API, select the HTTP API enrichment, click on Configure on the right-hand side of the screen, and then over here, we're now just going to copy and paste this webhook URL. So this funny looking URL from make.com, we're going to copy and paste it over here. So if we quickly look at our checklist, we went to make.com, we selected the webhook trigger, we remembered that webhook trigger, we now selected HTTP API inside of Clay, and now we copied and pasted the webhook URL into the endpoint field inside of Clay. The only thing that we need to do now is just map the fields that we want to transfer from Clay into make.com. So that will be transferred via the body, and make sure that you don't transfer it via the headers, because that's one thing that's like super easy to get wrong. So for the purpose of this, what we need to do is basically just this mapping part. So over here, we're just transferring the first name as an example, right? So first name, and the only thing that I'm going to do is just replace where for the second time it says first name, I'm going to use backslash and just map the field directly from the Clay table. Make sure that this toggle is switched off, by the way, because sometimes if that field does not exist inside of Clay, it will give you an error message. So make sure that this is switched off so this works fine. And if you head back into your make scenario, click on run once just to test that this works. I'm now going to click on save and don't run, and I'm just going to click at random on one of the leads. It will say queued, and status code 200 means that the data has been sent. So by now, you should see if it says 1 over here, and if you click into output inside of make.com, you should be able to see that the first name, Dave, got sent, in this case, from this row, which is the bottom row over here of Dave Gerhardt. So that's that. Essentially, what we've done so far is we looked through how you can transfer data from Clay into make.com. There is just one caveat, one hiccup and one challenge and road bump that you can have as you transfer this data is that you may mess up the formatting here. And for instance, you do something like this. And now if we rerun it, the JSON, the body that you're transferring, will be wrong. So it should give you an error right now. And it should say like, oh, you're transferring this data wrongly. In this case, it didn't do that for some reason, but sometimes it will give you an error. And if it does give you that error, then just basically copy and paste this text into ChatGPT and just say, hey, format this JSON text so that the fields are mapped correctly when I move the data in JSON. And basically, if I just copy and paste something like this, you will now just reformat it for me. And in case, I can just copy and paste this code back into Clay and just make sure that it's formatted correctly, right? So in this case, I'll just have to replace this again with a backslash and map it correctly. And of course, if you have more than one variable that you're moving, you can do the same here and just ask it to give you the mapping for like 10 different variables. So that's the first part of how you move data from Clay into make.com. And hopefully by using ChatGPT, you would not get any errors on that as well. Now let's take it up a gear and let's talk about how to get data from make.com into your Clay account. In order for this to happen, once again, let's head over into scenarios inside of your make.com account, click on create scenario in the top right-hand corner. And for the purpose of this, we need to have some sort of data in the first place. So let's just imagine for a second, I'm just going to click on a quick scenario. I'm going to select a Google Sheet and I'm going to select watch new rows. Let's just imagine for a second that the trigger for this scenario to run will be that a new person is added to a spreadsheet, right? Just as an example, because otherwise we don't have any test data to play around with. I'm just going to quickly select the spreadsheet that I already made, and this spreadsheet will be called Make Clay Integration. I'm going to select really quickly sheet 1 as the trigger. And essentially what this will mean, if I just select all over here really quickly, and let me just rename this quickly, trigger, new row added to a spreadsheet. And essentially what I've just set up over here is that there is now a trigger whereby make.com is waiting for someone to update this spreadsheet. And as soon as this spreadsheet is updated, let's imagine for a second that we want to move this data into clay.com. Assuming that we've established what that trigger is and assuming we have that data, so to start with, I'm just going to click on run once just to get some data, and I'm just going to pull in the data over here. By the way, check out unlocknaiten.com. It will be the second link in the description down below. And then now run once, you can see this data came through, Tim Jakobsen, unlocknaiten.com. Now let's imagine for a second that we want to transfer that data into our Clay account. All we need to do is click on add another module, type in Clay, and luckily right now, I didn't even know this before recording this video, but Clay has a native integration inside of Make, so it's super, super easy. It's almost as easy as using Zapier. So in this case, just click on Clay, create a record and table, and then all we need to do now is head into our existing table that we have over here. Let's imagine that we want to just transfer some more data here. We're going to type in webhook. Again, it's only available on the $349 a month plan. Click on webhook, import and run, and this will generate us a URL. And then over here, all I'm going to do is just copy and paste the URL, click on save. And now I can click on run once. And in theory, let me just update this again with a new form submission. Let's just do that really quickly. I'm going to select run once again. You could see this data was just now transferred straight into Clay. And one thing that we forgot to do in this case is we forgot to map the data, of course. So for this point, just make sure you map the data that's coming in. So for example, I'll just give this a header. So this will be the column header, full name will be this. And then the other thing will be the website, which is the website of the new course, unlocknaiten.com. Check it out. Master N8N in just under 5 hours. Now click on run once, and we should be able to see, if I just drag this along once again, assuming that we mapped the fields correctly. Oops, what's going on? Assuming that we mapped the fields correctly, if I click on run once, we should be able to see that this data arrives straight into our make.com account with a new website and the new full name. Voila, we can add it as a column. Happy days. We now know how to move data from Clay into make.com, and then from make.com back into Clay as well. As I mentioned already, if you want to get the setup guide with the Clay template that I've used in order to connect Clay to make.com, so you can just copy and paste that success into your own workflows, by all means, just go grab it. That will be the top link in the description down below, and the second link in the description down below would be unlocknaiten.com, which is the course that I'm about to launch or have launched at the time of you watching this, which will teach you how you can learn N8N in under 5 hours. Anyways, I hope this was useful. If it was, please consider subscribing, like this video, and I'll see you next.